Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Techsperts presented by Buchanan Technologies. In this edition of Ask the Techsperts, we are joined by Chuck Ma, Director of Cloud Strategy at Buchanan Technologies. And today he's going to walk us through the different stages of cloud adoption with a focus on the customer journey and value of the cloud. Just a quick note, we have provided some relevant documents and links, and we encourage you to take a look at those to supplement the information that Chuck is going to cover today. And with that, we will go ahead and jump into the video.
Great, thanks. So today we're going to take a look at the journey to cloud adoption. And here you can see we have three different categories of customers. We have those that are on-premise, we have those that are in the hybrid cloud space, and we have those that are in the full cloud environment. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drill down on each of these categories.
All right, so Chuck, let's go ahead and get started with our first category, which is on-premise. So when a customer has an on-premise environment, what is their typical motivation or reasoning for wanting to move to the cloud?
Well, there can be a number of reasons. I think typically what we've seen from our customers is that a lot of them are looking for more flexibility and scalability. They might have a data center, their racks are full and they don't have space to add more servers or more storage. So what they're looking to do is say, hey, can we take advantage of the cloud to give us more flexibility in that space? We've been in a pandemic for a year and a half, and there's been a huge requirement for remote access to applications and data, and certainly customers have, with the traditional on-premise environment, have had to really scramble to get more licensing and that type of thing to get their access to the environments. I think what we're seeing here is that customers are also seeing their competitors in that also going to the cloud, and so they are wanting to make sure that they're staying as competitive as possible as an organization.
Sure. So knowing some of these benefits and kind of just the general push to the cloud, what does it typically look like for a customer that's on premise and wanting to transition to the cloud?
Well, every cloud journey is actually a little bit different for each organization, and ultimately it depends on the customer's priority and comfort level. So, for example, a customer might just want to dip their toe into the water, so to speak, and so they might make use of things like a cloud backup or start to adopt a SaaS tool, and that would allow them to at least experience the cloud, get their users familiar with it without fully committing to it. Other customers may be looking at moving, some of their workloads to the cloud and wanting to keep their data, critical data resident on premise because they feel that that's safer. And so that's, a different sort of journey for them. And others might want to just, take advantage of things like Microsoft 365 using Exchange Online or some of those features and bring that to their users and take some advantage of that. At Buchanan, our typical cloud adoption process can be segmented in 4 different steps. So we're looking at, the first step being planning and assessing. So that's really figuring out what you want to move to the cloud, identifying, what are the interdependencies between workloads and that, what are the impacts that it's going to have on your users. That's the whole part of the plan and assess piece to help you figure out, what are the steps that you're going to take to move to the cloud and what are pieces you can comfortably bring to the cloud. The second step for that would be a pilot or a proof of concept. And that's really where you're now going to test drive, if you will, the cloud with whichever workloads that you identified from the planning assessment stage. And the key things about doing the pilot is you're not affecting production environments, and you're giving some of your end users some exposure to what it would look like to happen in a cloud, along with engaging some of your other parts of the organization like security and your IT people as well. The next step after you complete your pilot, and you have to successfully complete the pilot. But once you do that, then you can actually begin doing your migration. So you can then move data or workloads into the cloud as needed. And the last step is very important too, is the management side of things. Now you've got some cloud pieces. You need to make sure that those are managed successfully and on an ongoing basis, because that again still forms part of your IT infrastructure.
So knowing some of the benefits of the cloud and what that adoption process can look like, let's talk about our second category today, which is a hybrid cloud environment. And so, Chuck, I know that a hybrid cloud scenario is where the majority of our customers at Buchanan are at. Um, can you speak a little bit to what challenges might present themselves when an organization is in a hybrid cloud environment?
Yeah, sure. So customers in the hybrid category, I would say they have a broader spectrum of adoption. They might just have one or two workloads or a portion of Microsoft 365 that they're using. Some of them may be a little bit more advanced and be using a bit more, they might be using Microsoft 365 and have some Azure workloads in the cloud. And some other customers might be even further along the path. But regardless of where they are, what we see is that for some customers, that gives them more challenges because now they have, if you will, an on-premise environment and a cloud environment that they need to manage. So that requires a different set of skills and really puts this bit of a strain on the resources. Other customers we've seen where they've made that partial leap into the cloud, so they're in that hybrid cloud space, but their resource constrained from a perspective of moving more things into the cloud, right? So they're busy operationally. They already have their internal projects that they're committed to. So making that next step of moving into the cloud, they just don't have the time and availability of the internal resources to do it. And then that, they may not even have the expertise to do that as well.
So, understanding some of the challenges of a hybrid cloud environment, can you elaborate on, some of the services that customers might need in this hybrid cloud situation?
Yeah, so first of all, there's nothing wrong with being a hybrid cloud, right? It can actually be a good fit for organizations, and might be the way that they need to be. But for other customers that have seen the benefits of using the cloud and they want to continue to maximize that values for their organization. We can see that they would need some help. Typically what we've seen is they would need help adopting more of that. So in the area of, for instance, Microsoft 365, they may have adopted Exchange Online, which is great. So there's less pressure on their messaging infrastructure. But they want to take the next step, right? So they want to use SharePoint Online and Teams Online, which is going to give them more collaboration tools within their organization and better engagement with their end users. And so that we can see that that's something that customers want to do, because in a lot of cases they were actually paying for that license already because it's included in a bundle. Other customers may have a good adoption of Microsoft 365, but may have very little adoption of Azure. So they still have a number of servers that are considered on-premise that they want to move those services into the cloud, right, into Azure. So they may need some help planning that migration out and making sure that it's going to go successfully. Other customers who are further down the road, so maybe they're comfortable with the Microsoft 365 site, they've got most of their Azure, most of their virtual machines or on-premise machines into the cloud. They may want to take their VDI environment or their server farm for remote desktop and move that into desktop as a service. And so that would eliminate the need for that multi-server farm in on-premise and allow the organization to focus on the endpoints and making sure that those are configured securely. So, from a services perspective, we consider that still part of a cloud assessment, but now you've taken a customer and said, okay, you've got, these 3 or 4 or 5 workloads into the cloud, and now let's look at continuing your adoption in that roadmap, and what are the pieces that it continue to make sense for us to bring into the cloud with you and are going to provide you the most benefit and impact to your organization.
All right, and continuing on with the cloud adoption journey, we are now at a full cloud deployment. So Chuck, can you speak a little bit to, how we or cloud service providers in general can support customers that have a full cloud deployment? If we've worked with them and gotten all their workloads and data and applications into the cloud, is our job done?
Yeah, so no, again, the full cloud environment is still like any IT environment, right? It's a living, if you will, breathing organism. So you need to still maintain and manage that environment. Our customers who are in a full cloud environment are usually quite well versed in it and are comfortable with it. But what we can provide for them is some skills in terms of monitoring and managing that cloud infrastructure. And we find that there still needs to be consideration for things like your business continuity planning, right? So how are you going to manage backup and restoration of your Microsoft 365 environment? If you need to do legal hold or that type of thing, how are you going to handle that? And the next step on your business continuity plan would be disaster recovery. So, in the event that full cloud infrastructure becomes inaccessible, and we've seen it before, right, where somebody cuts a fiber cable or something like that, it can create outages. What is your disaster recovery plan for that? What tools are in place to make sure that you're able to keep your organization up and running as quickly as possible? And the last piece on that is the cloud security. Cloud security security is always important, and the cloud security applies to customers in the hybrid space as well. But we wanted to bring it out here, and it's just to emphasize that there's a lot of different pieces to cloud security that you'd still want to consider. So, for instance, you might want to do a baseline security assessment of your Microsoft 365 environment, right? So what are you doing around multi-factor authentication, data loss prevention, compliance, and those types of things? Or, again, the cloud environment, you still want to do things around penetration testing and compromise assessments and those types of things to make sure that your cloud security or your cloud environment is as secure as possible. So as we wrap up today, I just wanted to show you some of the benefits of the cloud that our customers are seeing. And so on the right-hand side here, you can see that that our customers are benefiting. They're seeing some cost savings because they're not investing heavily in physical hardware and in data center costs and that type of thing. That's all being moved into the cloud for on a monthly subscription basis. They're definitely seeing a lot more flexibility and scalability in the environment. If they do need to stand up a virtual machine, then they can do that. If they need to scale out, then they can do that quite easily as well. And we talked about the accessibility side of things. So making sure that your remote users are able to access the data or the applications that they can without having to build a brand new infrastructure or create a large effort to do that. So these are just some of the benefits that we're seeing our customers have from the cloud. And when you partner with a cloud service provider, it's really because they have the experience to help you realize the maximum value of those benefits. And an experienced cloud service provider can help you with your journey to the cloud adoption because they've done it before. They've helped other customers. They can help you with license and cloud cost optimization. They can help you with ongoing management, and you definitely want a cloud service provider who can help you with the security side of things as well. Well, I think that's we've covered enough ground in this talk, so just thanks for the opportunity.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chuck, for all that information. For those that are listening, we hope that this presentation was helpful for you. And depending on where you are in your cloud adoption journey, whether you're still on premise and you haven't adopted the cloud, you're in a hybrid cloud environment looking for a full cloud deployment opportunity, Buchanan is here to help your company meet its cloud goals to remain competitive and achieve long-term success, whatever that may look like for you. So if you have a question about Buchanan and our services, cloud or otherwise, please send an email to solutions@buchanan.com and a representative will be in touch shortly. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in to Ask the Techsperts, and we look forward to hearing from you.